Hello and welcome to Walking the Weird. It's a very windy day here, but I do hope you can hear me with my microphone. Thank you for joining me, and today I am in Dorset. I'm going to have a look at this iconic castle, Corfe Castle. I think when you think of castles in Dorset, this is most likely the one that springs to mind. So without further ado, let's go and take a closer look. The iconic ruins of Corfe Castle have dominated the Purbeck landscape for centuries. The castle was built in the 11th century by William the Conqueror, but historians believe a Saxon hall once stood in its place long before William's castle ever did. Corfe Castle was one of the first English castles to be built with stone, when earth and timber were the more common choice of building materials. Developments to the castle over the subsequent years secured its place as a significant fortress, and during the Civil War of 1139, Corfe survived a siege led by King Stephen. In 1572, Elizabeth I released Corfe Castle from royal ownership and sold it to her Lord Chancellor, Sir Christopher Hatton, who then sold the castle to Sir John Banks in 1635. 8 years later, and Corfe Castle saw its second English Civil War, Banks left Corfe Castle to lend his support to the king, leaving his wife Lady Mary Banks and their garrison of 80 men in charge. Parliamentarians made their advances upon the castle and took control. Lady Banks and her men were allowed to leave freely, but the castle had a tragic fate. Parliament voted to demolish the magnificent castle and set about destroying it to its current ruined state. After the restoration of the monarchy in 1660, the Banks family were able to reclaim Corfe Castle. They decided, however, to live elsewhere and set about establishing a new home at nearby Kingston Lacy. Corfe Castle remained in the Banks family until 1982, when it was bequeathed to the National Trust, who still own it today. The approach to the castle is just one of the most beautiful walks. You've got a little stream running alongside, you've got the castle to your left, behind me, and autumn sun is just coming through the trees. It's beautiful. Corfe Castle is believed to be one of the most haunted locations in Dorset. In 978, Edward the Martyr, who was next in line for the throne, was murdered on the orders of his stepmother, Elfrith. It was believed he was stabbed to death here at the gates of Corfe Castle so that Queen Elfrith's son, Athelred the Unready, could take the throne. Under King John's reign in the early 12th century, 25 French knights were captured and thrown into the oubliette to literally be forgotten about until they starved to death. Do the tortured souls who met their grisly end still roam the castle at night? Many believe so. Sadly, it's time for us to now leave Corfe Castle, but we're going to make our way down into the village of Corfe Castle and see what's about down there. The views up here really are spectacular. So obviously we've got a wonderful view of Corfe Castle itself, and if we pan to the right we can see the village of Corfe Castle, named obviously after the castle. And you can see the church there just in the middle, if you can make that out. It's absolutely beautiful, and then the Purbeck Hills roll in the background. That's a wonderful walk which takes you up to Swanage and to the sea. Beautiful. A little bit of sunshine there, doesn't it look marvellous? Okay, let's take a look. The 12th century church of St Edward's was named after Edward the Martyr, who was murdered in 978 on the orders of his stepmother Queen Elfrith. Edward's body was discovered by a blind woman who found him hidden in a hovel where the church now stands. Upon finding the young man, the blind lady's sight was miraculously restored by what seemed to be an act of God. On the hunt for the train. Well, thank you so much for joining me today here at Corfe Castle. I do hope you've enjoyed having a look around this beautifully iconic ruined castle. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do consider doing so, and I welcome all likes and comments. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you on the next Weird Walk.